Border construction through Big Bend National Park is on hold, but for how long?
And this is a national treasure. Once you clear land, carve roads, and permanently alter landscape, you can't simply put it back the way it was.
We speak with a Texas senator who met with the head of Customs and Border Protection. The message as concerns grow over federal work in the iconic park.
Please go bang on Governor Abbott's door tomorrow morning. He didn't elect you. We did.
The fight over where to build huge high-voltage power lines is intensifying. Now landowners are trying to get the governor to step in before regulators give their final approval. Water shortages, restrictions, rising demand. A new report explores how a Texas water crisis exposed serious flaws in how the state plans for the future. What the findings mean for your community.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Hinkle. The Trump administration temporarily stopped construction on a border infrastructure project in Big Bend National Park. The move comes after bipartisan pushback to the plan. Earlier this month, images of bulldozers clearing land and vegetation in the park sparked outrage across the state. Customs and Border Protection officials defended the project. They emphasized that the plan focused on vehicle barriers and road improvements, but the work brought backlash, including protests and federal lawsuits. A big concern is the damage the heavy equipment could cause. The state senator who represents the region where the park is located shared a look at the aftermath of the work.
So we're here at the Big Bend at the site of the construction where they're moving dirt. And you can see the road that they're carving all the way down here. Heavy equipment and machinery at the end.
State Senator César Blanco visited the park earlier this week. On Tuesday, he joined a group that met with Rodney Scott, the Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Senator Blanco joins us now. Thank you for being with us. I appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
So I want to start with a broad question. Some of our viewers may have never been to Big Bend. Why does this area mean so much to so many people?
Well, it's one of the most remote places in the earth, on Earth. It's beautiful, lots of wildlife, lots of beautiful plants, landscapes, sunsets. It's just a place where your cell phone doesn't work and you can be one with nature. So it's very important for not just our region, but really for the world.
You had the chance to speak with the CBP commissioner. What exactly did you want to share with him?
Well, I appreciated the commissioner came out to West Texas to hear directly from people who live and work in West Texas, but the conversation should have happened before construction began, not after communities had to raise their voices to be heard. Because the decisions of the federal government, they've got real consequences, not just for the park, but for rural communities that already face limited infrastructure, healthcare needs, et cetera. When major federal projects happen like this, they should bring in the community. And, West Texas, we get border security. We live in the border. We live with it every day. We also understand how special and sensitive Big Bend's land and wildlife and natural resources are. So my message to the commissioner was pretty simple. We can secure the border while protecting the people, the communities, and the natural resources that make Big Bend a special place. So many of us elected officials expressed that, from law enforcement to county judges, and our hope is that he takes that message back to Washington.
From what you've observed, how did he receive what you and others had to share with him?
Well, he acknowledged that CBP moved very quickly and did not, do the consultation that should have happened before construction. He apologized, and I think that acknowledgement is important. But now what we need to focus on is what's going to happen next. Again, we can secure the border without bulldozing sensitive habitat or putting permanent structures inside the Big Bend National Park. And we've got existing roads inside the park. We've got technology and additional Border Patrol personnel. This would include agents on foot, on horseback, on ATVs that can be used in a remote region like the Big Bend. We have to find a better way to secure the border without destroying the very place that we're trying to protect.
Did the commissioner give you any indication of when the work might resume on the projects that are paused at the park? Like, did he give any indication that the project would be scrapped entirely?
Well, he gave a couple of weeks. They're going to make their decision in a couple of weeks. But yes, the commissioner was very clear that CBP's intent is not to build a border wall inside Big Bend National Park, and I appreciate that commitment. But a wall is not the only concern. We still need answers about roads. We need answers about barriers and other construction, including exactly what CBP plans to build and where they're going to build it. If land is being cleared, roads excavated, or landscape permanently changed, we need to take that seriously. And I'm concerned about what they've already done. I am encouraged by the commitment that there's not going to be a wall, but I'll continue pushing against unnecessary construction and any of the decisions that ignore the impact on rural communities. I just want to see Big Bend protected and kept intact for generations to come.
On Wednesday, the commissioner indicated that he planned to make his own trip to the park. Have you heard if he's done that?
The commissioner?
Yes.
Yeah, the commissioner, my understanding, was going to make that trip. When he's there, I hope he actually sees what we're talking about. It's one thing to look at a map in Washington or even in Austin and draw a line through a remote part of West Texas. But it's another thing entirely to stand on the land and see the terrain and the landscape and the environmental sensitivity of Big Bend in person, right? So we know what works in this part of Texas. We also know what our community can and cannot handle. And we're also aware of how important Big Bend is to our regional economy and to the future generations that want to go visit it. Again, this is a national treasure. Once you clear land, carve roads, and permanently alter landscape, you can't simply put it back the way it was. And we want to make sure we protect the border, but we also want to make sure that we protect Big Bend. And I believe we can do, and that we should do both.
Some Texans, including some of your colleagues at the Capitol, say construction at Big Bend National Park is needed for better border security. What do you say to them?
I think I would say that's un-Texan. This is Texas. This is land in Texas. This is a Texas treasure. It's also a national treasure. If they're saying those things, maybe they haven't been to visit the Big Bend and to see how remote, how treacherous it can be if you're trying to get across. We can do border security again with more Border Patrol agents on foot, on horseback, on ATVs, but building a border wall and physical barriers that require construction and excavation and destruction of the natural habitat is not the way to do it.
Senator, thank you so much for being with me.
You bet. Thank you.
Texas is preparing to spend billions on water infrastructure, but a new report raises a key question. Can the state trust the plans guiding those investments?
Texas must have a state water plan informed by the regional water planning process.
We sit down with the policy expert taking that question directly to state lawmakers. Texas leaders want the jobs and investment that come with AI, but the boom brings the question of whether new guardrails are needed before building more data centers. Earlier this year, the city of Corpus Christi faced a water crisis. City leaders made hurried plans amid projections the city could face water shortages in a matter of months. Flooding rain earlier this summer brought relief for now, but the way this played out is raising questions about the state's water planning process and if other parts of Texas are at risk of their own water crises. Now, a new report is shining a spotlight on the problems and potential solutions. Jeremy Mazur joins us now. He's the Director of Infrastructure and Natural Resources Policy at Texas 2036. That's the nonprofit behind the report. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So first, let's start with some background. Give us an overview of how the state's water planning process works, who's in charge, and how often do they actually issue these reports?
So the state's water planning process was created nearly 30 years ago with Senate Bill 1, which prescribed a bottom-up process where regions across the state would identify their long-term water supply needs, available supplies, and potential water shortages, but also recommend the water supply strategies and projects such as reservoirs and desalination facilities needed to meet those anticipated shortages. These regional plans are rolled into the state water plan prepared by the Texas Water Development Board. And we've had 5 state water planning cycles since 1997 that focused on the 2020s.
Your report says the planning process never projected the shortage that pushed Corpus Christi into an imminent crisis. How did the system miss something so significant?
I think one of the big factors is that these plans focus on what's called the drought of record, which is a historic long-term drought. What was fascinating when doing this research, Josh, is that we saw that the coastal bend region, that includes Corpus Christi, endured several droughts of record, historic droughts over the past 30 years since Senate Bill 1 passed. And this radically affected the water supply projections within the plans. And so the water supply projections in the earlier plans were projected a lot more water availability than what actually happened to be the case when the drought from this year, which they suspect to be historic and very severe, really decimated the available water supplies in the region.
You're going to be talking to lawmakers on Monday at a field hearing of the House Natural Resources Committee. What are some of the changes that you're going to tell them to consider first?
First, even though the state water plan didn't really see this water crisis happening in Corpus Christi and the coastal bend, Texas must have a state water plan informed by the regional water planning process. Our report highlights several reforms to the bill that was passed 30 years ago in the effort to make the planning process better. I think it's best when we start with the data to update our water availability data, our models, and our science to make sure that these plans are informed by up-to-date and contemporary data. I also think it's important for the legislature to start better describing what they want out of this plan. Should it work as an implementable blueprint that really provides a stable roadmap for the water projects we need to build to prepare our regions, like in cities like Corpus Christi and Austin, for drought? And then I also think we might want to reconsider the timelines that we use for these plans. Instead of doing them once every 5 years, maybe use a little bit of a longer time frame so we can get our numbers right, and perhaps shorten the planning horizon from 50 to 30.
So your report essentially says Texas has had the forecast and made the plans, yet still ended up in a crisis. So why should Texans trust the system to get it right next time?
This is a system that we have to have in terms of providing ourselves a blueprint and a roadmap of the water infrastructure development that we need for a drought-prone and growing state, especially in the light of the fact that the legislature and voters have approved historic financial commitments to water infrastructure development. The lessons learned from our report is not that the plans or the planning process is bad, but it can certainly be perfected with better data and better planning objectives to better identify what we need to do to build the water infrastructure for a drought-prone and growing state.
All right, Jeremy Mazur, Texas 2036. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Josh.
It's a fight over property rights, regulation, and who gets the final say. Now some landowners aim to take the debate over where to build high-voltage power lines to the capital. Texas has a key role in the country's AI boom, but as data centers spread across the state, there's a growing debate over who benefits, who pays the price, and whether Texas needs more oversight. Earlier this month, Governor Greg Abbott directed Texas energy regulators to conduct a comprehensive audit of data center projects seeking to connect to the state's power grid. At a meeting last week, energy regulators indicated it could take several months to complete the audit. The governor says no project should move forward until officials determine whether the developments comply with state requirements. The directive also calls for reviews of water usage and conservation plans, along with financial details like tax incentives, grants, and other public funding programs. As investigator Matt Grant reports, it comes amid growing public pressure on state lawmakers to increase oversight of data centers.
Dave Scott spends his day feeding horses, riding the property, and running the Earth Native Wilderness School and Camp, helping kids connect with the outdoors.
Nobody has reached out to me.
But beyond this fence, he worries about a proposed data center and what it could mean for property values and his own Bastrop County business.
We are the ones who live here, and we're the ones who have to ultimately live with the impact of these facilities.
County officials are reviewing a proposed 1,450-acre data center project with tax breaks near Earl Callahan Road. A permit to prepare the site for a gas-powered energy facility was issued in late July. We reached out to Pacifico Energy, the energy infrastructure company behind this project, but did not hear back.
We should be demanding that they are safe, that they are low impact on the local community, that they are paying their fair share of taxes.
According to Bastrop County officials, there are 5 data center campuses currently under construction, proposed, or nearing completion, like this one behind me, which is part of a proposed development spanning 1,400 acres here along FM 535. That data center company, Edge Connects, lists Austin among its coming soon locations. It also did not respond when we reached out.
So what I want to know...
But residents and politicians are reacting and pushing back.
This is the hottest issue in the state right now. And Republicans better wake up, because the Democrats are right on this issue, and they're owning it.
That's Republican Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller at a packed town hall in Bastrop. He's calling for a 1-year moratorium on data centers, saying lawmakers need to establish better guardrails and oversight.
Hold the horses. Hold up. Stop. We got to get this right. It's a runaway train.
Miller worries about potential strain on water resources, the electric grid, along with a loss of farmland. A spokesman for Governor Greg Abbott tells us he's been clear that data centers cannot come before Texas families, directing the Public Utilities Commission and ERCOT, 2 main groups that regulate electricity in Texas, to require data centers pay for their own infrastructure, bring their own power, reuse their own water, and lower residential electric bills.
The public has yet to really understand just how much they use data centers already. Everything on this phone, almost everything, is data center.
At the state capitol, lawmakers are now scrutinizing ballooning tax breaks worth billions for data center companies, incentives the industry argues are offset by the economic benefit generated.
Data centers provide the critical digital infrastructure that supports Texas businesses, government services, healthcare providers, schools, manufacturers, and millions of Texans every day.
Did you say you live in Colorado?
I do.
Do y'all have many data centers there?
We don't, because Colorado actually does not have a state sales tax exemption for data centers.
Back with Scott, he wants to see studies done before construction, worried about the impact on rural areas from an industry with no signs of slowing.
The facilities themselves should not be put in at the expense of the people that live in these communities.
Abbott's opponent, Democratic State Representative Gina Hinojosa, has called for an emergency executive order putting a moratorium on data centers until the next legislative session. At the Capitol, Matt Grant, State of Texas.
More than 40 tech companies have issued statements in support of the governor's audit of data centers. For example, the governor's office says Meta agreed to a series of conditions for its data center project being built in northeast El Paso. Google released a statement saying it will also comply following its $40 billion investment in the Lone Star State through next year. A statement from the tech giant said, quote, "We share Governor Abbott's commitment to ensure data centers are developed the right way and support high standards for data center providers," end quote. Those standards include paying for their electric infrastructure, reusing their own water, reducing the cost of electricity for Texans, as well as paying their own way and eliminating taxpayer-funded incentives.
We're here today not to beg, but to demand a special session.
The debate over huge high-voltage power lines moves beyond hearings and regulatory fights. Now landowners are asking Governor Abbott to intervene directly. Landowners from across Texas rallied Wednesday at the state capitol. They came to tell lawmakers how a proposed power line project meant to connect the grid across the state would impact them. It's a project that's seen a lot of pushback for months. Recently, Texas senators and the lieutenant governor called for the project to be delayed. Now there's a new cry from landowners. Eric Hendrickson reports on how they're asking the governor to step in.
Clad in yellow bandanas, dozens of landowners gathered outside the state capitol on Wednesday.
We're here today not to beg, but to demand a special session.
A session supporters hope would stop the construction of 765 kilovolt transmission lines across the state.
It was not what I was expecting for my retirement for years.
Carla Wills owns land on the San Gabriel River that would border one of the transmission line routes.
It's about a 1,200-foot border, and that's the view I have every day, all day long. So it would run the entire 1,200 feet. right across my property line.
Last month, Carla spoke before the Senate Committee on Business and Commerce.
Please go bang on Governor Abbott's door tomorrow morning. He didn't elect you. We did.
After 15 hours of testimony,
you can hear the comments of the senators going, well, this isn't what we were proposed. No one mentioned that there were going to be all these electric lines.
State senators called on the PUC to delay action on the applications. But with a looming deadline, landowners hope Wednesday's hearing with the House will provide added pressure.
I'm hoping we'll get one more group on our side and that they will be compelled to really aggressively and relentlessly insist that the governor call a special session to address this problem.
Eric Hendrickson, State of Texas.
We asked the governor's office about the idea of a special session. His office sent us a quote saying the governor has been clear that high voltage transmission lines need guardrails, as well as a strong process for new transmission development is essential. He encourages the public to submit feedback on proposed lines to the PUC and the legislature. We also reached out to State Representative Gina Hinojosa for comment. She's running against Abbott in the November election. We have not yet received a response. Thank you for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.